welcome to the Hammersmith Apollo! Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out. We're in Hammersmith, we're in London. My ends! Oh yeah! Have we got anyone in from Hammersmith? Give me a cheer. Yeah, a couple of you. I love Hammersmith. Hammersmith is a great place. Great place to go out on a night out. Hammersmith Palais, one of my favourite nightclubs back in the day. That's where the after party is tonight. The only club in the country that makes Tiger look classy. Anyone been to Hammersmith Palais? Oh, of course he has. Look at him. He looks like a regular. You look like you could spike a drink just by looking at it, mate. I love it. Great drinks offers there as well. You buy 2 Jaeger bombs, you get the morning after pill for free. Class. So let's find out about this beautiful audience that we have in tonight. All the ladies, can you make some noise? Woo! Oh, lovely. Guys, give me a... Oh, yeah, great. We've got some guys in some proper men. Look at this fella in the front row. Had to sit right down the front just to accommodate the sheer size of your bollocks. Bought 2 tickets for tonight, one for me and one for the twins. What's your name, fella? Are you there? Darren, yeah, proper fucking man's name. I bet your dad named you that whilst he was pushing a plough through a field with his dick. Nice. And you got a man's trade, Darren. What do you do? Do you lift shit? What do you do, Darren?
Work in a factory lifting.
You work in a factory lifting shit? Oh, yes! Darren, you've not let me down. And you're wearing the suit. I like that. You got the shaved head, but you're still rocking the suit. You look like a footballer on his way to court up on rape allegations. I like it. A real man. Because I'd love to be like you, a real man. Because I love men, not love men, that came out wrong. No, I'd love to be like you, a real man, like Darren. I'm a man here, lumberjack shirt, 3 buttons undone, the chest is bursting out. Real man like you, I'd love to be like you, a real man like you. Because it's hard for us, isn't it, sir? No. Can men like ourselves, we get it tough. You wouldn't know where to start with bleeding a radiator, but I bet you make an incredible bechamel sauce, am I right? Yeah. Stick a bay leaf in, I know your tricks. So I'm excited that all of the men and all of the ladies are here tonight, because this is my show. This is my show. I've been touring it, been all around the country. I went to Bristol. That was the last stop on my tour. Went to the West Country. Love the West Country. Yeah, anyone in from the West Country? Nice. Great. Very laid back pace of life there in the West Country, very different to London. I had a bit of trouble getting down there, truth be told, right? I was on the train on my way to Bristol. The train went through this place called Bedwyn, okay? Now, not many of you will know Bedwyn. Bedwyn is a tiny little rural village right in the middle of Wiltshire, okay? The only time you might have heard of Bedwyn is it was once on an episode of Time Team. Really good dig, actually. I watched it in one of the trenches. Baldrick, right? He found the remains of a woman that had been burnt as a witch. Last March, right? It's really backward. So I'm in a little place, little Bedouin, on the train. All of a sudden, the train stops and the PA system comes on. It's the conductor. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, this train is now being evacuated due to a terror alert. I beg your pardon? We're in Bedouin. I suspect Al-Qaeda might have slightly higher priorities on their hit list than rural Wiltshire. Also, I thought terrorism, that's done. We've dealt with that now. It's not an issue anymore. I watched the news. I listened to it. There was a guy on the news recently, an expert, right? And he genuinely said that apparently obesity is now a bigger threat to this country than Al-Qaeda. I thought it's definitely not. What would you rather have sat opposite you on the tube on your way home tonight? Some mental guy with a beard and a 100-yard stare with a backpack full of Semtex, or just a jolly little fat kid with a backpack full of Quavers? But I get confused when I see it now. Like, I went onto the plane recently and they were still trying to take away my toiletries. I mean, what the fuck is that about? I was like, madam, have you not seen the news? Mr. Bin Laden has been shot and dumped at sea. The war on terror is won. There are now far more pressing issues at hand, like the war on dry skin. This exfoliator is coming on, bitch. You know what I'm talking about, hey? Clarence, Natural Glow. She didn't let me onto the plane. So we're carted out, we're at Bedwyn Station, we all get carted out onto the station platform. It's freezing cold, it's a Sunday night as well, to add insult to injury. So we're all there, feeling pretty depressed, tutting away. It's Sunday night, you missed the X Factor results show, this is so shit. Not me, Darren, obviously. I was going to go home and watch something manly, you know, something on Bravo. Danny Dyer's top 10 ways to kick a dog. Yeah, naughty. So I'm there, stood on the platform. I'm next to this big posh guy as well. This is like the worst thing that's ever happened to him. He's having like a tart fit. It's absolutely outrageous. This country's gone to the dogs. And I'm stood there, right? And the guy from National Rail comes out to address the assembled crowd. And I could tell that he was excited, right? This was his big moment. He'd worked at Bedwin Station for his entire life. He was pumped. And he walks out, right? And he's trying to sound intimidating as well, which simply doesn't work if you've got a West Country accent. If you want proof of this, watch that docudrama they had on Fred West on ITV. It documented the life of one of the most evil serial killers this country's ever seen. But at no point were you ever scared because of his voice. What did you do with her next, Mr. West? I chopped her up and I put her in a bin liner. What are you like? So out he comes, Mr. National Rail. He's ready for his moment. Okay, clears his throat. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, all of the trains from this station will now be delayed because I have personally spotted on platform 2 a suspicious package. To which the massive posh guy next to me shouts back at him, well, put it on the train to Swindon and we can all fuck off home. I got there in the end. I got to Bristol in the end. Bristol's a very cool place. I went to a farmer's market in Bristol, but like a proper farmer's market. Not like the farmer's markets you get in London. There's a farmer's market in Highgate I went to recently. Not a real farmer's market. There's a woman called Araminta who has a cheese stall. You go up. What would you care for today, sir? I have this goat's cheese from the scorched valleys of Tuscany, or maybe you'd prefer this Gruyere from the Alpine peaks. I picked up a bit of cheese at the Fish Ponds Farmers Market in Bristol. I asked the man where it was from. He went, a farm! That's a farmer's market. That's not to say Bristol as a place is not impervious to a little bit of pretentiousness, because Bristol, as we all know, is the home of one of the worst breed of girls you will ever find, because it has Bristol University. And that girl is the lesser spotted, did I tell you about my gap year? I've been trapped by them a couple of times. These girls that go off traveling in their year out, and the only reason they've done it is so they can shove it down your fucking throats. You go to the pub with them. Oh my God, where to start? Preferably near the end. It was amazing. Me and my friend Vaskiri, who's ethnic, by the way, did I mention, and Cassandra, who didn't get into Leeds, so she went to Liverpool, which means she's so good with foreign languages now. We just tottered round Tibet, smoking the most amazing Thai grass and felching lepers, and we found the most wonderful little monastery on the foot of Mount Hicha Picha Mecha Vakacha Arno. And we stayed there for weeks just helping the orphans. Just think, haven't the orphans suffered enough? I'm not having a go at charity work, though. I'm not. I actually did some charity work when I left my school. Like, I don't want to, show off, but it was pretty amazing what I did, Just a couple of weeks volunteer work in a special needs school for children, just playing games with them, football, tennis. And it does actually make you feel really good inside. Because you always win. Shit. So that was the West Country. I went to the West Country. Where else did I went to Scotland. I went to Glasgow. Have we got any Glaswegians in? 2. Well, that's enough for a fight. I love Glasgow. Glasgow's a great place. Quite a tough city, though. Glasgow's the only place I've ever been where you see toddlers walking around with muzzles on so they don't rip off Rottweilers' faces. But I arrived in Glasgow and I decided, right, what I needed when I was in Glasgow was to go out and start my day by getting a proper breakfast. I needed some energy, some food inside me. So I set off into the centre of Glasgow and I found myself a classic, sort of traditional, greasy spoon Scottish cafe. I walked in, there was a very dour-looking Scottish waiter staring at me, wishing that I was dead with every fibre of his being. I sat down and I ordered myself a big bowl of Birka muesli with all the fruits. And I took out my laptop and I just started typing away, just having it. Yeah, that's how I type. It's a pedal-assisted laptop. And I was there typing away on my laptop. And then I made the fatal error, all right, of asking my newfound Scottish chum, the waiter, whether he had any Wi-Fi access. To which he looked at me as if to say, I haven't even got access to my fucking kids. I was like, oh God. So at this point, I wasn't feeling particularly well loved. And then, thank God, the best thing that could possibly happen in this situation then occurred. An American couple walked in. And all of a sudden, I was no longer public enemy number one. As soon as this woman waddled into the shop, "Hey, Marty, come in here, they're definitely gonna have waffles." The waiter, he's clocked them, he's having a xenophobic stroke in the corner. "Yankee Doodle fucking bitch. She's as welcome in here as a bowl of couscous. I'm gonna take a shit at omelette." She sits down, she's eating really loudly, she's slurping on her coffee. She gets to the end of her coffee, she slams it down and starts clicking at the waiter. I'm like, oh my God, this shit's gonna get messy. She's like, sir, come over here. I finished my coffee. I will now have my free refill of coffee. Oh dear. He did not like that. He looked at her like she had just ordered dead baby soup or something without batter. And he couldn't even formulate a response. He wanted to say something, but no sentences came out of his mouth. After a minute of just aching and squealing, eventually he managed to shit out just a, "No!" She, cool as a cucumber, goes, Sir, I'm gonna give you a little reality check here, okay? In America, if you order a coffee, we give you a free refill." In front of everyone, he looks her dead in the eye and he goes, "Love, in Glasgow, we don't give a fuck." People were applauding him, patting him on the back. There was a guy in the corner of the cafe in a wheelchair that stood up to shout "freedom" as she waddled out of the cafe. Because that's the thing, isn't it? There are some things, right, that I don't think will ever make the cultural crossover. We're so similar to Americans in so many ways, but some things they'll never get. Like customer service, for example, all right? They love that in America. We will never have that in the UK. We don't do customer service. And I think that should be celebrated, because I do not like customer service. I think it's an ugly thing. I like going into a shop anywhere in this country and knowing exactly where I stand, knowing that I'm a piece of shit. Now, phone shopping, for example. Phone shopping here is so easy. You walk into the car phone warehouse, you know the drill. You're gonna get ignored for days. There'll be a corpse at the counter where some elderly man has gone in and tried to upgrade without his wife there to help. And even when you do get assistance, it's gonna be from some patronizing little teenager in a suit that's constantly gonna be asking you, "How many minutes you talking in a month, bruv?" "I don't know." But when you leave the shop, you feel like you've earned your phone. I had to go to the Apple store recently in New York. Oh my God. The Apple store in New York is worlds away. It is like a big, white, glistening cathedral of cunts. Before you even have your foot in the threshold of the door, there's some wank tub with a fringe in your face. "Hey buddy, my name's Drew. How's your day been going, hombre? What brings you to the Apple store today?" "I'm here to buy a phone, not make a friend. Fuck off." They applaud the first customer in of the day. The Apple store in New York, they all stand around clapping like dickheads as he walks into the shop. "Woo, we love you, man. Customer number one, you rock." Can you imagine getting away with that behavior at a UK phone shop? At my local T-Mobile, the only customer that's getting applauded there is the last one out of the day. "Oh, thank fuck you've gone. We're going down the pub, you blackberry wanker." And it works both ways as well. I had to get a train when I was in America. I got onto the platform, and on the platform they had a poster. On this poster was one of the American rail employees. She was this woman, she was all made up. Her eyes were full of hope and life. She had a smile on her face. And then underneath it, a little slogan. "Hey, you got enough snacks for the journey? Enjoy your trip." Compare that to the posters that you get on every single station platform up and down this great country. What do? You get a picture of a National Rail employee with a massive black eye. Then underneath it, "Please don't hit our staff." I'm depressed as well that I even have to go to the Apple store, because I never wanted that from my life. I was perfectly content before. I was a non-iPhone user and I was happy. But like all non-iPhone users, eventually I gave in. I listened to them. I gave in to the iPhone Nazis, right? These people that force you to get it. They make you buy it and they lie to you because they don't tell you about the bad shit. They only tell you the good things. They don't say, yeah, this phone is amazing, but unfortunately it has a battery life of 20 seconds. It's a bit like you found the best new buddy in the world, the coolest guy you've ever met, but this guy also has ME because it's asleep all the time. It's a smartphone, you need to get a smartphone. Fuck a smartphone. Do you know what I wish I still had? A dumb phone. That's what I like. A phone where I knew where I stood. You know the phone I wish I still had? The Nokia 3310. Oh yeah, that was a phone. Fuck the iPhone with all of its apps and its maps and its GPS shit. The 3310 gave a man all he needed. Stopwatch, calculator and snake. Fuck anything else. There was no pretension with it. The most pretentious the 3310 got is when it upgraded itself to the 3330. The only thing they added to that model was a currency converter on a phone that didn't even work abroad. And no pretension as well. No pretension with like predictive text messaging. Predictive text messaging on the 3310 was bliss. You tried to type a word into it that was more than like 5 letters long, it would give up. It was like it was saying, yeah, you want to use poncy, fancy prick language like that? You're on your own, knobhead. Not with the iPhone. Where does the iPhone get this vocabulary? Constantly jumping to conclusions. Nobody fucking talks like that. It doesn't matter what you put into the bloody thing. You're like, A-N. Did you mean androgynous? No! I meant and! I realise this is probably looking now like I'm falling down on the side of the consumer, because that's not the case, all right? That is not the case at all. Because I'm going to share with you tonight, Hammersmith Apollo, I've actually done a little bit of time right on the front line. I did 4 weeks, one summer holidays, working in Clinton cards. The horror. Have we got any other survivors in? Any other vets? Who else has worked in a shop? Show of hands. Yeah, okay. Front row, where did you work? Burton Yondies.
Yeah, Burton. No, Burton Shoe Shop, sorry.
Burton Shoe Shop.
Yeah.
What did you get it confused with initially? There's different types of Burtons. This is probably why you didn't last very long there. Oh, you've been drinking, you're an alcoholic, okay. You were thrown out of the shoe shop, weren't you? Stole all the shoes. So what was your worst type of customer to come into Burton's shoe shop? The most annoying? Someone like me? Why someone like me? I have feet, I buy shoes. Why? Because I'd be quite picky with the shoes. I'd want something nice, would I? What are you rocking down there? You look like a guard in a women's prison. Like you should... It's a proper lesbian boot. I like it. No, I'm not... I used to find the worst coming into Clinton cards, right? Worst type of customer was the elderly. I used to hate the elderly coming in because they'd always come in right at the end of the day. They'd pick their moments. I remember we had this old woman once. She came in Friday afternoon, 5:55. Oh. Hello, I need to buy a birthday card for my grandson. If you're not out of the shop in 5 minutes, love, the only card he's going to be requiring is a condolence card. Make it quick. How did you leave Burton's? Did you walk out, or were you sacked, or?
I got sacked, mate.
You got sacked?
Yeah.
What for? What did you do?
I didn't sell enough...
You didn't sell enough shoes?
No, products.
Products?
Yeah, with the shoes.
With the shoes?
Yeah.
There's additional stuff besides the shoes that you have to sell? Leather cleaner? Who the fuck buys leather cleaner? They sacked you for that. These bastards, where are they? Next time there's a riot, we're gonna fuck them up. Sacking you for shit like that. That is so unfair. Do you know what they got me on? Clinton cards. Do you know what they got me on? It's so unfair, because there was no stipulation when I signed up to the contract that I couldn't do what I did. Come about 5:30, I couldn't be arsed. I wanted to go down the pub. So I used to stand in the doorway just ushering people out of the shop. And if anyone did try and get by me, I'd just be like, moonpig.com, try it. I mentioned the riots there. Like, the riots, for me, like, those are the people I felt sorry for, the people that were having to clean up the shop the following day. Because I was actually trapped in the middle of the riots, right? When it was all kicking off last year, I was in Manchester, yeah? When the shit hit the fan. It was amazing. I saw some incredible sights. I saw, genuinely, a group of youths in Manchester trying to loot a Lidl. Now, I'm not an expert looter. I don't do much looting myself. But I would imagine that one of the major advantages of looting, i.e. smashing in the window of a shop and stealing their shit, is that there aren't any budgetary restrictions. Go a little bit more upmarket. I just wanted to see one of these scallies taking a little bit of initiative, you know, coming around the corner on his BMX with like a handful of quail's eggs and Prosecco. Yeah, this ain't just looting, this is M&S looting. I did see one thing, right, that for me made the whole riots worth it, okay? A lovely little bit of poetic justice. There were these two little scallies in the middle of Manchester. They can't have been more than about 14, 15. They'd smashed in the window of a diesel shop in town. They'd stolen loads of clothes. They ran past me, stopped at the end of the street, and then I heard the line that made all of the riots worthwhile. This little guy picked up this pair of jeans, turned to his mate, and he went, "Oh, Dino, you knobhead! These are all women's!" But I bought a pair anyway, so... That just showed how angry we were as a nation, didn't it, the right? And, you know, that's why I think we're so unpopular. Because we are, let's face it, we're not very popular here in the UK. Like, look at Europe. Europe hate us. And I always think that's so unfair. Because we've done so much shit for Europe. We've helped bail out Greece and Ireland, helped put stop to racially motivated genocide in the Balkans, liberated half of Europe from Nazi occupation. But do they show us any thanks? Come Eurovision time. Oh, no. And I get so fed up with that shit. I love Eurovision, I do. I think it's brilliant. But every year, we get fucked over by the rest of Europe, because they always say it's political, don't they? It's very political, the Eurovision Song Contest. Even when we send over the big guns like Blue or Engelbert Humperdinck, it's still going to be nil point, because it's political. Well, do you know what I've decided? We fight back. We get political on their asses. Next time the Eurovision Song Contest comes round, and it comes to the bit where they give out the points, this year, Moldova have decided we will only be sending 2 points to the UK because we did not agree with the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Oh, very well, Moldova. Only sending us over 2 points. Well, do you know what we're going to be sending you over, Dov? Those Tomahawk missiles. You saw that shit we were pulling in Libya? Well, you're next, Moldova, just as soon as we found out where the fuck you are. That's about as far as my politics goes, by the way. I'm not a very political person, which I think is sometimes quite good, because sometimes I can look at a problem and see a very clear and simple solution. You know, like health, for example. We're constantly told we're a very fat and obese nation. I could sort it out like that, because it's the government's fault. They're not doing enough. With some shit that's unhealthy for us, they do their bit. Like smoking, for example. Smokers, you go in, you buy your packet of cigarettes now. Every single packet of cigarettes has got a picture on it of like a lung caked in shit. You're like, ooh, I don't want to smoke these because I don't want my lungs to get caked in shit as well. Thanks very much, government, for looking out for me there. Well, yeah, that's fine if you're doing that with cigarettes, great. But you've got to start doing that shit across the board. You've got to start doing that with everything that's unhealthy for us. They need to start doing that with food. If you walk into a Tesco's and want to buy yourself a massive chocolate cake, that thing should come with a picture on it of a fat lady crying as she comes out of Topshop empty-handed. Problem solved. Because I am trying to take more of an interest in politics, because basically I'm trying to become a little bit more of a grown-up. This is a big thing in my life, okay, Hammersmith, because I've had some quite big changes that have been going on. Now, one of these I'm really proud to share with you this evening is that basically I am no longer living at home with my mother. I am now in rented accommodation. Oh yeah, I know. And I'm doing shit that I never thought that I would do. I'm surprising myself all the time. Like the other day, get this right, I invited a friend over for a cup of tea, because that's what I do now, yeah? I don't go out to nightclubs and take Class A's and finger people by bins. That's over, all right? I have friends round to mine, we drink herbal tea, and we watch Eggheads. So fuck you, CJ. So I invited my friend round, hand her this herbal tea. She goes to put it down on the coffee table. Before that mug has made contact with the coffee table, boom, I had a coaster underneath it. I'm not the coaster guy. All of a sudden, I'm the coaster guy. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This one is even more incredible. I was sat on my own, okay, in my flat, and I saw a light bulb flicker and go out, and my instant response was this. Ah, fuck. I'm gonna have to change that. And then I did. I got a chair out, I changed a light bulb. Compare that to me in my student flat 3 years ago. If I was sat in a room and a light bulb flickered and went out, my instant response was this. Ah, fuck, we're only gonna be able to use this room in the day now. And like, there's some shit I draw the line out, okay? There's some stuff I will not be doing. Like, I received a terrifying phone call the other day from a friend, okay? I get a call from this girl. She goes, Jack, when are you going to invite me over for a dinner party? I was like, how about never? I've seen Come Dine With Me. I'm not putting myself through that shit. Because if anyone's seen Come Dine With Me, right, that will put you off having a dinner party or even having friends for the rest of your life. Where do they find those people? You could give them the best night of their entire lives. As soon as they get in the back of the cab, they're thinking about one thing and one thing alone, the tray of cash. They're greedy bastards. So, tell me, how was your evening? Oh my God, it was amazing. We arrived early, we were given vol au vents and champagne. We were then ushered through to the garden where we witnessed the most wonderful fireworks display and a live performance from the Beatles. We then tottered on through to the dining area where I sat down not upon a chair, but upon the naked coiled body of Megan Fox. For starter, we had a fruit de la mer platter followed by a rare unicorn steak. Midway through the meal, I needed to go to the toilet to relieve myself. There was no toilet to piss into, so I got to urinate into the mouth of the boy that bullied me at school. At the end of the evening, we were all given a goodie bag which contained a Nebuchadnezzar of champagne, rich, luxurious Belgian chocolates, and the love and attention that I craved from my father as a child. And I nearly forgot to mention, at the beginning of the evening, one of our assembled party announced to the group that they were, in fact, a vegetarian. So they were captured in a tuna net, dragged outside into the garden, told to stop seeking attention, and then shot in the face with a whaling harpoon. It was the most wonderful evening of my life, and that's why I'm giving our host for this evening a 2. Outrageous! So my grown-up living was going very well. It was going very well, my grown-up living in my flat with my coasters and everything. But then it took a little bit of a nosedive because I realized there was one thing I no longer had, which I really relied on, and that was my mother, okay? Because I will be the first to admit, Hammersmith, I'm a massive mummy's boy, okay? My mum is incredible. She does everything for me. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my mum. That's a fact. That's a fact. No, but when I first started doing, stand-up and stuff, I was too young to drive, for example. So my mum used to drive me to all of my gigs. She'd drive me there, I'd do the show, and then she'd wait outside in the car, and then she'd take me back afterwards. So, I know, rock and roll. It meant it was quite hard to pick up ladies after shows. Yeah, you want to come back to my crib, babe? Yeah, my ride's outside. It's the Volvo estate. You'll have to sit in the back, because me and mother like to ride up front, listen to Radio 4. Not many people came back with me. But I realized I didn't have my mum anymore. I didn't have my mum. And I decided what I was going to do, okay, this was my idea, was because I no longer had her, I thought I could start dating my mum. Not my actual mum, that sounds weird. No, I mean like a version of my mum that there would obviously be like a sexual aspect to as well that there wasn't with my real mum. This is coming out wrong. No, which is not to say actually when I was living at home with my mum there wasn't one sexual element, and that was my mum had garnered the greatest weapon that any woman can have in any relationship with a man, the ability to deny a man from having sex, right? Because men, we just want to have sex all the time. Or, how old are you over there in the t-shirt? How old are you? Yeah. 19, you must be like a fucking ball of spunk. You haven't been listening to a word I've been saying. You've just been working out when you can clamber onto the stage and fuck that E. But we do. We want sex all the time. We're animalistic. And if a woman can turn around and be like, no, come for you. You have control. I realize that's not how women do it. Do you want to make love? No, come for you. But my mum did. She tried to stop me from having sex when I was living at home. And it wasn't that she didn't mind me having sex elsewhere. That wasn't a problem. Like, I remember I went away on my first ever sort of stag weekend with some friends to this horny hooker-ridden pimple in Eastern Europe called Tallinn. My mum helped me pack my bag. In the front pocket, my mum put 30 condoms. 30. I was there for 2 days. I counted them when I came back. There was 31. But it was sex in her house that she wasn't happy with. And she had all these different ways, a whole arsenal of ways of stopping me from having sex in her house. Now, the first thing she did was to try and desexualize my bedroom. And she thinks I didn't notice. It was so obvious. The longer I'd be going out with a girl, the more children's toys would suddenly appear littered on the floor. Family photographs adorning every single mantelpiece. A massive framed picture of my creepy uncle above the bed. And this huge mound of cushions as well, towered high over the bedspread that you'd have to hack through before you could even get into the sheets. And they all had little things embroidered on them as well to kill any kind of sexual mood. You know, home sweet home, mummy knows best, daddy's under the bed. And it didn't stop there. It didn't stop there, no. The other one she did, right, is as soon as I turned 18, she bought me a new bed. I was like, oh, thanks, Mum, a new bed. The loudest bed I've ever had sex on in my entire life. This thing would creak in space. And it's not like I was having loud sex on it as well. I was trying to have the quiet... I don't know why I'm looking at you there, Darren. I'm sorry. No, but I was trying to have the quietest sex that I could possibly... I was very conscious that my mum was beneath me. Not beneath. No. I mean the room below, you sick fucks. It was stealth sex, so that's what I used to call it, like proper stealth sex, the quiet. Me and my girlfriend at the time, we'd be having sex so quietly, we were doing it like we were Anne Frank's parents. It was that. Yeah, she didn't put that in the diary. I can't do anything fun as well. Can't do anything experimental. If I came home from a night out, we were a little bit tipsy maybe, she might be like, oh, Jack, do you want to try a bit of role play? Could you just play dead? Honestly, that would help. Sex for me at home, right, in my mum's house, became a little bit like arriving late at the theatre and trying to find your seat. Just a lot of shuffling, a bit of shushing, a pause, and then from somewhere in the darkness, just a whispered, I'm sorry. Say as well that I ever wanted any sort of weird sex. I don't like anything like odd. Like when it comes to sex, I like it very simple. I'm quite British about the whole thing, quite sort of Victorian British. I want 3 minutes in the dark, then we both roll over, assume the fetal position and cry for a bit. That's how it's done. And none of that talking. I hate the talking. I can't stand any of the talking during sex. I hate that shit. They say during sex a woman should lie back and think of England. I couldn't agree more, but I think maybe let's make it more specific. Lie back and think of London. Don't make any eye contact with me and don't you dare start a conversation. Because I've had a girl that tried to get me to do the dirty talk thing, and I warned her that it wouldn't work. This is not a sexy voice. This voice does not work within the echelons of a sexual environment. Therefore, any sexual contact will be conducted in complete silence. But she wouldn't listen. She insisted on doing it. I'd warned her it wouldn't work. She was like, oh, Jack, tell me I've been a bad girl. You've been a very bad girl. How bad? How bad? How bad? I don't know. Is there a scale? Worse than a looter, not as bad as Harold Shipman. Are you happy now? That's not even the worst one. This has haunted me for a long time. I was going out with this girl when I was at university, and she had this thing where, basically, in sixth form, she had gone out with her PE teacher at school. So she asked me to do a role play reversal in the bedroom where she was the PE teacher and I was the pupil. I was like, I'm not comfortable with this whatsoever. I really didn't want to do it, but I didn't know how to get out of it. Eventually, I turned up with a note from my mum. I was like, oh. So, I haven't yet mentioned where my father lies in all of this, which is really to not give a flying fuck about any of it. Because my dad, right, he's from an older generation of fathers. He's quite old-fashioned. old-fashioned, racist. Because he's an older dad, you know. Like, oh, we got dads in tonight. Show of hands, where are the dads in the room? Put your hands up, dads. Couple of hands. That one took ages to go up, sir. You're not sure whether the child's yours? We got a lot in common. I like Chinese food. She was Chinese. I just put her in the car. No, keep your hands up, dads. Keep your hands up, dads. Keep your hands in the air. Now, I want you to keep your hands up if you think of yourselves as being cool dads. Cool dads. Keep your hands up. One over there. We got no more cool dad over there. This one's staying up. You think you're a cool dad, are you? So what's your name? You got a cool dad's name like Lance or Troy. What's your name, cool dad? What's your name? Graham. So Graham, cool dad Graham. What do you do, Graham? You got a cool dad's job like a jet ski instructor or marine biologist. What do you do, Graham? Surveyor. Oh, shit. Now, what I wanted to ask is whether you're like, you know, you one of those cool dads, you know, that's always trying to sleep with your children's friends. How old are your children? That's what I should have asked. Oh, that's your child. God, I'm sorry. How old is she? 13, right? You don't want to be sleeping with any of her friends. You need to wait 2 years. No, more than 2. 3. This isn't going well. No, what I wanted to know is whether you've... this is awkward with your child sitting there. This doesn't normally happen. Have you prepared for the birds and the bees talk? You laughed. Your wife was like, no, he fucking hasn't. What I'm saying is you need to prepare for the birds and the bees talk. It's very important that you prepare for it, because if you don't, you'll cock it up. And it will never be as bad as what my dad showed me. Not showed, that sounds terrible. He didn't say, Jack, come in here. Right, this is the way your mother likes it. Well, just lean over and spank her tits. Yeah. Sorry. That's a rough image for me as well. Because my mum's tits are rank. They're not, they're lovely. Not lovely. Oh, she's in tonight. That's awkward. No, I didn't really get a birds and the bees talk from my dad. All I got, right, is when I was about, say, 15. I think it was 15, right? My dad picked me up from school in the car. We were driving along in the car in complete silence. He hadn't said anything to me. And we stopped at the traffic lights. And he just turned to me and he went, Jack, I've had a lock installed on your door. The last thing I want is for your mother Hillary to walk in and find you having one off the wrist. From him. Because my dad, he's quite a stern man, all right? He's quite a stern man, my dad. 2 brief stories that sort of set him up so you can understand what my dad is like. Both of them involve my dad, right, watching the news with me, because that's when he's at his most stern. The first of which, right, we were watching this news story, and it was a very sad story. It was really emotional. It was about this girl, right, and she'd been shot in like a drive-by shooting outside a KFC in Brixton. It was horrible. They were interviewing friends, family, witnesses, a lot of tears. It was really emotionally engaging. And it got to the end, and the news reporter summed it up. He said, an innocent woman has been gunned down in her prime, stood outside a KFC restaurant here in Brixton. Back to you in the studio. There was a pause in my sitting room, and my dad turned to me and he went, "Ha, that's not a restaurant." The other one, which in my mind is even worse, right, okay? Me and my dad watching the news with my mum in the kitchen, lovely little family dinner, the news is on in the background. A story came on about a certain Robert Mugabe, okay? Right, now my dad is not really a fan of Robert Mugabe. I mean, no one's a fan of Robert Mugabe. If we've got any fans in, I suggest you leave now, because you won't like this next bit. But Robert Mugabe was on the screen, and I could see my dad was getting quite irate. He was tremoring, there was veins popping out of his forehead, he was getting really angry. And then suddenly, from nowhere, he just erupted, the biggest temper tantrum I'd ever seen him throw. He stood up from the table, started shouting at the TV, "Oh my God, he is the most odious man. He's a ghastly, wretched, Rhodesian little pimp. He's a horrible, odious, nasty, wretched, ghastly fucking cunt." He said it in front of my mum. My dad dropped the C-bomb. And my mother went ballistic. She went, "Michael, how dare you? I realize that he is a terrible man, but you do not use that word in this household. You do not use that word in front of my children." My dad, no word of a lie, swung round, looked her dead in the eye, and he said, "This is typical of you, Hillary. You are always defending Mugabe." And we used to argue all the time. And every time we argued as well, I'd always do the same thing. I'd run away from home. That's what I'd do. No matter what the argument was about, it was like, I'm running away. I'm leaving home. I'm going forever to live on the streets. You won't be seeing me again. Mother, pack my bag. Put in all the essentials, frubes. I'll need some frubes to eat and my Merlin sticker album and maybe my Tamagotchi, because homeless people get more money if they have pets. Now bring it here, Mother. Put on my bag, and off I'd go. You'll never see me again. Where are you going, Jack? I don't know. I hear Moldova's very nice this time of year. And off I'd go, and then I'd wait at the end of the street. I wouldn't actually properly run away. I'd be like 100 yards away from the house, and I'd be waiting there for my dad to come and pick me up in the car. And it was very important that he got into the car. I needed him physically to get in the car, drive 100 yards down the road, pick me up, tell me that he loved me. I had to hear him say that, and then I'd get back in the car, we'd go home, and it would all be happy families again. And I'd say this happened on average once or twice a week. And as I say, often over recurring issues. One of them was that I went through a phase when I was younger, about 2 or 3 years, where I really liked Robin Hood. And I mean, really liked Robin Hood. To the point where I wanted to dress up as him all the time. And I had the most wonderful outfit as well. There were these little sort of green, I guess you'd call them fishnet tights, and then a spangled tunic, Claire's accessories belt, feather tumbling out the side of my cap. I looked fierce. Come and get me, merry men. And my dad didn't like that. He didn't like that. Because I wore that outfit to everything. Family functions, holidays, the supermarket, his brother's funeral. He really didn't like that. So that was sort of constantly bubbling over throughout my childhood. And there was one Christmas, though. There was one Christmas where he really let loose, okay? And that was because I had requested a couple of very specific Christmas presents, which he didn't agree with. Now, the first of these, my mum had actually given in and bought me a couple of weeks before Christmas. And that was a pair of rollerblades. I really wanted rollerblades. My mum got me rollerblades. I was so excited. And then my father confiscated them. He said, "No son of mine will be gliding around like a woofter." So I didn't have my rollerblades. So come Christmas morning, right, I was ready to blow at anything, okay? I was pretty pissed off. Which leads me on to the second present that I'd requested that year for Christmas. And that was a Pocahontas doll. Now, a couple of judgy laughs there, which is fine. But I didn't actually want it in a gay way. All right? I wanted a Pocahontas doll because I had an Action Man figurine, and I thought it would be nice, as Action Man is a soldier, and he goes off and fights in all these wars, that when he comes back, there's a woman there to look after him. Help the heroes, all right? But my dad wouldn't get me the Pocahontas doll. I went down Christmas morning, opened all of my presents, expecting to see Pocahontas there. She was not there. And I went apoplectic. I was like, this is the final straw. If you don't give me my pocket money right this instant so I can go out and buy my Pocahontas doll, you will never be seeing me again. I will walk out of that door, and that will be this time for good. My father was like, over my dead body. I was like, fine, Mother, pack my bag. It's already done. Thank you, Mother. Off I went into my mother's study. I took out my rollerblades and I glided out of their lives. I waited on the edge of the street for my father to come and get me. And I remember at the time thinking, what a heartless, cold bastard. What a bastard. But in hindsight now, I look back on it and I feel sorry for my father. Because let me tell you, you get some very bizarre looks when age 13, on a cold Christmas morning, you're stood on the corner of a pavement in a women's dress, green fishnet tights and rollerblades, looking a little bit like a hooker out of Starlight Express. And then essentially getting curb crawled by your own father, who drives up in a Mercedes, puts down the window, hands you £20 and shouts, "I love you, now get in the fucking car!" genuinely thought, as I grew up, these pressures would evaporate, but they don't. They don't, do they? They change the pressures that your parents put onto you. The one I'm dealing with now, right, is that my mum wants me to get married. She's obsessed with me getting married, and specifically, she wants me to get married to Kate Middleton. Right. Which sounds mental, because it is, but it's made slightly less mental by the fact that I was at school with Kate Middleton. So my mum sees that as like a missed opportunity, that I was at school with Kate Middleton, and I didn't end up marrying her. Like I stood a chance. I mean, Kate Middleton is 5 years older than me. When we were at school, she was in sixth form. I was in a head brace. I mean, I wasn't particularly cool when I was at school. I played the recorder. My mum forced me to learn the recorder at school. She was like, oh no, women love a musician, not a recorderist, mother. The only way I'm getting a girl into my bed by using the recorder is if I fucking knock her out with it. But she gets annoyed at me now. She thinks it's my fault. She gets annoyed at me all the time and always brings up the Kate Middleton thing. Like the other day, I was staying at her house, right? I'd taken off all my clothes to get into bed. I'd thrown a couple of them on the floor. There was a pair of my boxer shorts on the floor, in which was the tiniest, weeny little skid mark. I mean, you could barely see it. My mother walks in with a laundry basket, scoops it up. She's like, that's why Kate didn't want you. So unfair. So my mum wants me to get married, and you know what? I decided that I would actually like to be in a proper relationship. And most of my relationships have never worked out. So this was my idea, right? I decided what I needed to do is to work out what it was that made a relationship work. So I did what any sensible guy would do in that situation. I went to a live recording of the Jeremy Kyle show in Manchester. Let me tell you, I learned some things that day. Some lessons that will remain with me for the rest of my life. Because at that live recording of the Jeremy Kyle show in Manchester, I witnessed in front of my very eyes a gentleman take on Jeremy Kyle and nearly walk away the victor. It was amazing. Because when he walked into the studio, none of us gave him a hope in hell. His name was Spider, right? And he was wearing a matching shell suit and cap. I was like, oh my God, man, Jeremy Kyle is going to chew you up and spit you out the other end. And I hope he gets done with you quickly so we can get onto the squabbling sisters that are both fucking the same guy, because that's why I came this afternoon. But right from the outset, Spider showed some serious promise. Kyle started out with a standard Jeremy Kyle opening round little teaser question. He was like, so, Spider, I hear that you don't see much of your children. Ooh, let's see what you got in your locker, Spider. Oh, buddy, old pal. Well, Jeremy, I admit that I don't see much of my children, but that's because I've got to work 2 jobs, one during the day, and then I've also got to do a night shift to earn enough money to pay them the child support that they deserve. I sat up in my chair. I was like, ooh, this guy's good. What you got next, Kyle? Kyle coils back for another blow. So, Spider, I hear... like a viper. I hear that you are a bit of a drinker. Ooh, it's a low blow. The sobriety test early on. This normally separates the wheat from the chaff. What you got this time, Spider? Well, Jeremy, I admit that I was a bit of a drinker, but I faced up to my demons, and I have attended various AA meetings, and I'm now proud to say that I have been sober for 3 years. What the fuck is going on here? Have I just seen a man sidestep Jeremy Kyle 2 times in a row? That's not in the script. I'll be telling my grandchildren about this momentous day when the matador finally met his match in this deadly dance of death. Kyle didn't know what to do. He swoops to his side. He draws up an envelope. We all know what that means. It's lie detector time. Spider, I asked you on the lie detector whether you had ever cheated on your partner Raquel when you were in a relationship with her. You said that you hadn't. You were, in fact, telling the truth. OMG. FML. The audience then cheered for Spider. It was like Rocky IV. We were the Russians and we'd sided with Rocky. Carl didn't know what to do. He was on the ropes. He had one last throw of the dice and it needed to be doubles because he was in jail right then. He put his hand up to his ear. I'm like, fuck me. Kyle's calling in for backup. I ain't seen this shit go down before. Spider, I've had a word with our researchers, and they tell me that you have a motto. Oh, Jeremy, is that all you've got? A motto? Of course Spider's got a motto. We've already established. But this gentleman in a shell suit is no mug. What, you thought he'd walk into the arena of battle without a motto? Do me a favour, Jeremy. Well, come on, Spider. Oh, buddy, old pal. Tell Jezza what your motto is. Put him to the sword, and then you can parade around the studio with his head on a blooded fucking spike. What's it gonna be? We can't wait. Carpe diem. Mother knows best. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Spider, the floor is yours. Complete silence before the studio. Everyone's gaze turning to Spider, suddenly elevated to being like Jesus delivering the Sermon on the Mount. Everyone looking. And then, in front of the entire studio, Spider stood up and said, well, Jeremy, my motto is if a woman can give a punch, she can take one. I learned an important lesson that day. Relationships never require mottos. Look, I'm a sensible guy. I realized I would not get all my answers from the Jeremy Kyle show. I knew that I had to look elsewhere if I wanted to know what it was that made relationships work. So I decided my next port of call was to look for inspiration with the people that I knew. And I started with my grandparents. Because my grandparents have been married for longer than I've ever even heard of people being married. 65 years. And I looked at them and I thought, what is it that's kept them together over such a long period of time? How have they stayed so in love over all that time? And I realized what it was. It was something so simple yet beautiful. Fear. Because my granddad is terrified of my granny. And that shit works. And don't get me wrong, he's got just cause to be afraid of my granny. My granny is the scariest 82-year-old battle axe you've ever met. We call her Dorothy Soprano. She runs our firm. So we got couples in tonight. Where are couples? In the this gentleman here in the checker. Is this your lady wife next to you there? Beautiful, beautiful. How long have you been married for? 24 years. See, in America, that would get a round of applause, but here, people are just like, they must fucking hate each other. But that's great. 24 years. Yeah, sure. And let me ask you something as well. Are you scared of your wife? That was amazing. If we caught that on camera, as soon as I asked the question, her head just went... And you know what that look was she was giving you? That's, you fuck this up, no cum for you. Embrace the fear. Fear is good. Fear is a good thing to have in a relationship, I think. Like, the longest relationship I've ever had was based on fear, because I was terrified of the girl I was going out with. She was from the northeast of England. Have we got any Geordies in? Yeah, Geordie? You're going to hate this bit. No, because it's not the accent. Like, I love the Geordie accent. I think the Geordie accent is a beautiful accent. I'm quite defensive of it, actually. Like that whole Cheryl Cole thing. I was really annoyed by that, sacking Cheryl Cole from American X Factor because they claimed they couldn't understand her because of her Geordie accent. Bollocks. Nothing to do with that. It was to do with Americanisms, wasn't it? There's words that are different in America to they are in, say, Newcastle. Like, in America, they say sidewalk. In Newcastle, you say path. In America, when it comes to sexual contraceptives, they use rubbers. In Newcastle, you don't. That's right. I warned you. No, I love the accent. I think the accent is beautiful. And she had a very strong Geordie accent, and I loved it. It kind of turned me on. In fact, it was a bit of a problem, really, because I loved her accent so much, I was never really listening to a word she was saying. You know, we'd be out shopping in town. She might catch me looking at another girl. She'd be like, oh, Jack Pet, if I ever catch you looking at another girl like that again, I'll cut your dick off with a fucking spoon. Who's a little Geordie? Come on. She wasn't on a lead. No, I didn't. No, she was very nice, but she sort of changed as the relationship developed, as women sometimes will. Like, when I first met her, she was cool, she was funny, she was exciting. She said she was bi. I was like, ooh, sexy. It turns out she meant bipolar. She was fucking mental. She was a bit like one of them girls from Geordie Shore. You know the Geordie Shore program? Has anyone seen that? For those of you that haven't, right, it's one of these like sort of mock reality shows, a bit like The Only Way is Essex, except it's not like The Only Way is Essex. Geordie Shore makes The Only Way is Essex look like fucking Downton Abbey. On Geordie Shore, they just fuck anything. You'd love it. It's great, but the girls on it, they're terrifying. They're so scary. They look scary for starters because of some of the clothes they wear. There's a girl on it who wears a skin-tight fishnet boob tube. Now, I'm not a fashion expert, but the skin-tight fishnet boob tube, that's probably a look to avoid for most women, even if you've got the slenderest of figures. But this girl, no stranger to a kebab. I mean, she's like a bit I'm not being rude, but you know, her BMI number is pi. She's like a big... And she goes around Newcastle City Centre in this skin-tight fishnet boob tube. She looks like a manatee that's been hauled in by a sea trawler. They're terrifying. And look, a lot of people say of Geordie Shore, oh, it shouldn't be on TV, they should ban it, they should get it off air. No, that's not true. They've just got it on the wrong channel. Geordie Shore should not be on MTV. It should be on the Discovery Channel. That would make it so much better if it had like a little David Attenborough voiceover. Here is the Geordie Shore in its natural environment, cocking her leg by a wheelie bin to expose her minge to strangers for chips. So we were going out, me and this wonderful Geordie girl, and there were problems. There were a lot of problems right from the outset. One of the big ones, right, was that her friends hated me. And as a guy, if a girl's friends hate you, you're fucked. There's nothing you can do. Because girls, you look after each other. You care for one another. It's gracious. You're like a pride. You will nurture and look after the weakest of the pack. Guys, we don't give a shit. We will kick the weakest out to rot in the sun. And the savannah, if you will, of all of this, if you want to observe it happening in all of its glory, I always think, is the airports, right? When you see groups of girls and groups of guys going on holidays together. The lads on tour and the girls on tour. You see it in the airports. That's where it starts, right? In the queues for like Ayia Napa, Magaluf, Marbella, Ibiza. Yeah, girls on tour. And it starts with the tour t-shirts and the tour hoodies that they all have made up for these holidays, right? And you see the girls first, they come in with their little wheelie bags. And they take out their nice, neatly armed pink hoodies that they've all had organised months in advance. And they got little nicknames on the back in glitter. Except with girls, it's not nicknames, is it? It's character building. You will find any positive about your friends and you will celebrate it. It's glorious to see. You'll see the group of girls, and then at the back of the group, there'll be this 500-ton hunk of ham with like a cleft palate and a gammy leg, chins growing out of areas you didn't even know a chin could grow out of. She winches herself around to see whether there's still a queue outside Burger King, and on her back in glitter, it just reads, Angel Eyes. You can't deny her eyes are gorgeous, they follow you around the room. Yeah, because one of them's lazy. Next to them in the queue, you've got the guys, and the guys are all just fighting over a bin liner full of t-shirts, all desperate to get the one that says Shagger. And they start dishing them out amongst their mates. Except with guys, it's not nicknames either, it's character assassination. With no wit or reason to it whatsoever. It's just like dick splash, AIDS wipe, shithead. Some poor guy in a wheelchair getting forced into one that says Top Gear. It's cruel. He's not even part of their group. And they get on the holidays, no different when you're actually at the destination. A group of girls that go to the beach to sunbathe, if one of their friends falls asleep in the sun, they'll wake them up. A guy wouldn't dream of pulling that shit. You see the girls, it's like, Angel Eyes, wake up, you've fallen asleep in the sun. I can't wake her up, girls. Oh my God, I think someone might have spiked her sangria. Very unlikely. Come on, girls, come on. Bring me some suntan lotion. No, we're gonna need more than that. Bring a fucking bucket of it. Let's put it on you. We're looking out for you, Angel Eyes. We're looking out for you because we're BFF friends forever. the beach, you got the guys. Hey, what's Jay doing? Shh. He's fallen asleep in the midday sun. Oh, wow. Shall we put some suntan lotion on him? Yeah. I'll draw the bollocks, you do the shaft. It's very funny, isn't it, Hammersmith? Laugh it all up. That will take months to get on. Never changes, no matter what happens in your life, what you achieve. It's always that same dynamic. I heard a story recently that made me feel so happy, all right? A friend of mine went to a house party in London. At this house party, right, he said that Daniel Radcliffe turned up. I was like, Harry Potter at your house party? That is so cool. I mean, presumably, because Daniel Radcliffe is one of the most successful people for his age in the world, a multimillionaire, a movie star, no less. People were coming up, asking for autographs, fans wanting to have their photograph taken with him. My friend said, no, that's not what happened. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I went upstairs at this house party, and 4 of Daniel Radcliffe's mates had locked him in a cupboard and were stood outside it chanting, "Magic your way out of that, dickhead." He's still there. Which brings me up to sort of 8 months ago. And I met this girl who was absolutely incredible. And I fell head over heels in love with her. She was amazing, like no other girl I'd ever met. And she was a bit older than me. She was mature, reminded me of my mum, perfect. And we started going out. And it was brilliant. It was like, finally, I've got a grown-up relationship. You know, we're gonna have coasters all over the house. We'll put our posters up in frames. We'll get a bag for life. But I ruined it. I cocked it all up because I realized, even though I was very happy to be in a grown-up relationship, the problem was, I'm not a grown-up. And that makes it very hard. And it all came to a crux, right? On a Friday night, about 6 months in, it was Friday night, I'd gone onto my Facebook and I'd been invited online to a fancy dress party. Sweet. Out I go, renting myself a big chicken costume. Correct, I will be winning best dressed this evening. Got myself 2 large bottles of Jägermeister and I was ready to hit the fucking town. Came downstairs and my girlfriend was stood in front of the door staring at me. Jack, why are you dressed like that? Well, because I'm going to a fancy dress party. Nothing. She was like, Jack, you've forgotten, haven't you? Tonight is the 6th-month anniversary of our first date. We have booked a table at the restaurant we went on our first date to. And you've forgotten. Well, I don't remember seeing it as an event on Facebook, so does it count? Yes, it definitely counts. And I felt like a dick, I really did. This was someone that I cared about a great deal, and this was something that meant a lot to her, and it had gone in one ear, out the other. And I felt so stupid, because I look at my inspiration for relationships. I've already mentioned my granddad, all right? My granddad is in the severe clutches of Alzheimer's. Most of the time, he doesn't even know why he's in the room. But the one memory that he clings onto for dear life, the one anchor of his sanity, is the memory of when he first met my grandmother. And he tells it to me all the time. It's heart-wrenching. I'll be sat with him. He'll be like, Jack, have I ever told you about the time that I met your grandmother? Yeah, like 5 minutes ago and then 10 before that. Far away, Grandad, we got all day. I was in Dublin, having left the Royal Navy, and I was walking through town late at night, and I saw this group of ladies stood by the Halfpenny Bridge, and in and amongst them was your grandmother, and she looked divine. So I decided I would go up and ask her for directions. Of course, I knew where I was going. And as I talked to them, I realized that if I didn't pluck up the courage to ask her to go for a drink, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. So I did, and she agreed. And we went for a drink, we talked for hours. I'd never believed at love at first sight, but when I met your grandmother, I knew. And 6 months later, they were married because he said that she was the most beautiful woman that he'd ever seen. And she was pregnant. Randy old beast. But I look at him and I think everything else, his whole mind is fucked. But the one thing he holds on to, the one anchor of his sanity, is the memory of when he first met my grandmother. And I can't even remember the restaurant I went to with my girlfriend 6 months ago. And that's partly a guy thing. Us guys are so bad at forgetting every anniversary. And girls are the opposite. You love all the little anniversaries. The anniversary of when you first kissed, when you first met, when you first went on a date. Guys don't remember all those lovely little ones. We'd remember the bad ones. If we were going out to dinner to commemorate the anniversary of the time she broke my PlayStation 3 by spilling red wine on it. Ooh, Shiraz Gates in the fucking diary. But this whole night as well basically summed up why our relationship was never gonna work. Because of the date, the nature of it, the restaurant that we were going to, the restaurant that we'd been on our first date in, was not my kind of restaurant. It was one of these really fancy places. And I don't like a fancy restaurant. I don't like pretentious restaurants, especially on dates, because they make you look like idiots. I went on one recently with a girl. The wine guy comes up, right? The sommelier, and he has the wine list, and it's on an iPad, thrusts it in front of my face, in front of this woman. He's like, "Does sir have any questions? Has this got Angry Birds?" No! If you go to a restaurant on a date, you want to go somewhere where you can look like you know your shit, where you look like you're in control, which is why, if you ever take a girl on a date, there is only one venue and one venue alone. Any ideas? Nando's! Correct, ladies! Nando's is where you take your date. Because if you go to Nando's, you look like you know your shit. You arrive, you're greeted at the door. "Hello, has sir ever been to Nando's before?" "Yes, I have, my good man. And we both know that you're going to be doing fuck all this evening, so stand aside. I'll have this booth in the corner. Ooh, bunkhead seating. That'll be nice for scooching up together when this date gets interesting later on tonight. So first, it's time for the wine. What would Madame like? A dry Sancerre or a crisp Sauvignon Blanc? It doesn't matter, babe. It's Nando's. They both taste exactly the same." Which leads us on to the food. "Do you like chicken?" "Good, because it's all fucking chicken." I already know what I'm getting. Double chicken breast and pizza, lemon and herb spice. But at the last minute, I'm asking the guy at the counter to switcheroo around the little flags they put on the top of it so it says that mine is extra hot. So when I'm tucking into it, she thinks that I'm hard as nails. "Would sir like cheese and pineapple with that?" "Why would anyone want cheese and pineapple with chicken? It makes no logical sense." Her food has arrived. She's ordered it with 2 sides, one of macho peas, one of witty repartee. Right now, she's eating out of the palm of my hand. Mainly because I've forgotten to get the fucking cutlery from the tooling up desk once again. But it doesn't matter. It's now make or break time. She's about to ask the question that every girl will ask you if you take them on a date to Nando's. She looks longingly and lovingly into my eyes and says, "Jack, tell me, what's piri piri?" Ooh, a very good question. And I will let you into a little secret. It is a question that nobody actually knows the answer to. So you can make up whatever the fuck you like. She is still going to be impressed. Piri piri, my dear, is a blend of aromatic spices bonded together by the tears of Portuguese widows that have lost their husbands at sea. Il hombre est il morte. And she's mine. Nando's, correct. She didn't want Nando's. She didn't want me. I went out, fancy dress party, got completely rat-assed, right? Came back to her flat about 3 o'clock in the morning, smashing on the door. She let me in at about 4. We went upstairs, and she broke up with me then and there. And the reason that she gave for splitting up with me, get ready for this, right? She said that apparently I was too immature. Which is such a gay thing to say. Immature. Because there is nothing in the world you can say in response to a girl when they've just split out with you for being too immature. When you are stood in their flat at 4 o'clock in the morning, pissed off your tits, crying And I mean uncontrollably crying. I mean getting kicked in the bollocks with a football to the power of Mufasa dying in Lion King tears. That are uncontrollably tumbling down your beak in a large Jägermeister-sodden chicken costume, having just walked in and boasted that you've just been thrown out of a KFC for storming in and demanding to have your children back. Who's immature now? Ladies and gentlemen, you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for coming out to see my show this evening. Now, one thing. Before I go, now, some of you that have seen me before will know that quite a lot of the time when I'm on stage, and indeed television, I spend quite a lot of my time talking about someone that I grew up with, that I attended the same school as, and pouring quite a lot of scorn upon said person. That person is Robert Pattinson. The renowned Hollywood actor, star of the Twilight films, who I went to school with and was better than me at school and is indeed probably better than me now. But let me tell you, this evening, I will not be slagging him off, because I am over it, all right? I've dealt with it, I've faced my own demons, and I'm not bitter anymore. So, Team Jacob. Now, what I thought I'd do instead is give him, in many ways, the right to reply. Because I went out and I got hold of every single autobiography and biography that's ever been written on Robert Pattinson. And I will end this evening by reading to you a couple of extracts from one of these tomes of shit. Lock the doors. We're in for the long haul. So this is the book that I'm going to end the show by reading to you from. It's Robert Pattinson, a biography by Victoria Blackburn, 1999, bit of a steal. Literally, I shoplifted all of those. And I will be reading to you from the section, the chapter, entitled Rob at School. Rob at School. So, yes. Although it's about when I was at school with Rob together, I'm not actually mentioned at any point in the book, which is fine, because I didn't want to be in your shit book anyway. So here we are, chapter Rob at School. Rob's school friend Hugo remembers how Rob was forever larking around. What a larker. What a fucking larker. Rob was made lunch monitor, recalls Hugo, but it wasn't a role he ever took seriously. He used to pinch everyone's chips in the queue. How funny, stealing people's chips in the queue. I went hungry every fucking lunchtime. We move on. Although Rob's now a Hollywood heartthrob, he also has a softer side. Rob admits to having quite a few phobias, which are listed below. Ooh, Robert Pattinson's phobias. I wonder what these will be. Maybe one of them's acting. I like this bit. 1, Robert Pattinson's phobias. Heights. Ooh, scary. Probably couldn't have pulled off a stunt like that. 2, darkness. 3, flying. So far, it's not great for a vampire, is it? 4, driving. 5, getting stabbed. Right, getting stabbed is not a phobia. Yeah, I wouldn't be keen if someone just walked up to me in the middle of the street and started stabbing me for no reason, but I wouldn't list it as a specific phobia. And therefore what? Are we meant to assume that anything that's not on Robert's stupid little list of phobias is something that Robert's not afraid of? All I'm saying is anal rape is not on the list. 6, floating. Having seen your performance in Water for Elephants, your acting is so wooden you would probably float. 3, school is where Robert discovered his love of acting. One of his earliest roles was one of the leads in a school production of The Crucible, in which he wowed both pupils and teachers alike. Although many say that night he was somewhat overshadowed by the performance of the child playing Villager 6 dressed as Robin fucking Hood. Paraphrasing a little. I'm going to end on this little section here, and we've all had a very jolly time this evening. It's all been very fun, but this bit is very serious, okay? Because I'm about to read you the section of Robert Pattinson's biography which deals with the very sensitive subject of bullying. I don't know why there is sniggering over there. This is the serious bit. There will be no sniggers allowed. It's the first time I've ever said that phrase out loud. You realise with no sniggers allowed, one slip of the tongue with that and you are fucked. We're moving. And look, I don't want anyone thinking here or at home that I'm making light of bullying, because I'm not making light of bullying. I'm a big supporter of anti-bullying. I actually bought one of those anti-bullying charity wristbands when they first came out. So I say bought, I stole it off a fat ginger kid. But serious, please. Bullying. It was not all plain sailing for Rob. Although difficult to imagine, Rob was actually bullied at school. In a recent interview with the press, he recalled how once at school in year 8, some bastard, stole the shoelaces from his gym shoes. But he didn't let it get to him. He just carried on wearing them without. Who's laughing now? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Good night.
Ooh, hi Jack. Pop your seatbelt on. Let's book at bedtime.
Oh, great.